Welcome in to the weekly Main Street Media TV High School Football Wrap-Up Show. We'll be checking into all corners of Middle Tennessee where our sports editors and reporters will share with us how each team from Main Street Media coverage areas did on the football field last week. If you're seeing this in Middle Tennessee, chances are pretty good that Main Street Media has a newspaper that serves your community. Go to mainstreetmediatn.com to find the local Main Street paper in your area. When you find it, think about signing up for a subscription. We've got all kinds of great news, sports, and other coverage lined up for you. Okay, let's get this week's high school football wrap started and head on over to Wade Neely in Western Middle Tennessee.
What's up, folks? Wade Neely here. I'm your sports editor over in Hickman County, Dickson County, and up in Cheatham County. And it's time for a recap of what we saw across the high school football landscape in Week 10. Next to last week of the regular season. And man, we had a fair bit of drama. A couple postseason berths decided. A couple postseason berths cut short, unfortunately, for a few prospective teams. And really some jockeying for seeding all mixed in. It was a big bag of action last week, and we'll get into it right now. We'll start in Dickson County. Couple of wins, couple of nice victories as Creekwood picked up a 38-0 dub at home versus Montgomery Central. Really cruising in this one, taking care of a downtrodden Montgomery Central team. But hey, wins are wins, and Creekwood needs one and certainly won't turn one down. They have a massive showdown coming up later this week versus Marshall County. Tell you more about that as we get closer to kickoff. Also in Dickson County. Well, not in Dickson County, but on the road as the Cougars, Coach Tomlinson and the Cougars go up and rally for a nice victory. Clarksville Northeast changed quarterbacks, kind of threw some trickeration on the Dickson County Cougars, but they responded and pulled away. That final was 17-13. Good win for the Cougs there, who are headed to the playoffs yet again under Coach Tomlinson. Congrats to those guys. Meanwhile, Cheatham County saw a lot of action, and we'll start with the biggest game of the week in terms of drama. But although it was the biggest game in terms of drama, there were no consequences in terms of the postseason. Sycamore playing a non-region game for its senior night, and man, oh man, did the fireworks come. A slugfest, a real bruising battle between White House Heritage and Sycamore. Yeah, they could maybe meet down the road in the postseason, but for now it was fun to see them duke it out in Week 10. 16-13, Sycamore wins it in overtime. Hicks Hunter, this kid continues to be one of the all-time greats in the small classifications at the running back position in the state of Tennessee. His career is coming to a close. His senior season came to a close, at least in terms of regular season home games. Sycamore's still alive, though, with at least a puncher's chance to maybe get a home playoff game if things kind of break their way the rest of the way. But again, congrats to them. Big win as Hicks had 2 touchdowns, 16-13 in overtime. Elsewhere, it was Fairview with a 63-12 win over Cheatham County. Cheatham County not going to go to the playoffs this year. They have a big game versus Sycamore coming up on Thursday. Head coach Gary Halstead said he's proud of his team's effort, and he still wants to see them, go out and perform well on Thursday. But he is obviously, and the program is disappointed because they were really hoping to maybe sneak into the playoffs, but it doesn't come to fruition. Again, Fairview roughing them up 63-12. Waverly staying undefeated, but man, did they get a scare from the Harpeth Indians. Congrats to Coach Moorhead and the gang for really bringing the fight to an undefeated Waverly team. One of the crazy storylines in Tennessee, folks. They went winless last year, but now they're undefeated, and they will have a real chance to make some noise at the 3A level, will the Waverly Tigers. But a tough loss, valiant effort in defeat for Harpeth, who still remains alive. It may not look like it, but mathematically, Harpeth still remains alive in the postseason picture. They're going to need a win, if nothing else, to kind of kickstart a bunch of maybe tiebreaker scenarios, but they need a win when they take on Camden Central this week, but still alive. Finally, we close Hickman County. There was only one game in Hickman County last week, and that's because East Hickman battled Hickman County with a playoff berth on the line. The teams were gunning for one of the final few slots in their region, and it was East Hickman pulling away for a 28-15 victory. Micah Godfrey had over 150 yards rushing. He also had 2 touchdowns, and again, a 28-15 dub for Coach Chris Austin and the East Hickman Eagles. They are going to the playoffs. Hickman County, unfortunately, painfully denied getting defeated by their rival of a playoff berth. It would have been their first since 2019. That was an expanded recap. Casey Patrick still out, but we wish him all the best, and we hope to see him soon. We hope to see you guys soon. But for now, Wade Neely saying so long, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Wade. Now, we've got some amazing sponsors, so let's take a moment to hear from them.
He shoots, and he scores!
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Welcome back. Maurice Patton is here to tell us all about the action down in Southern Middle Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Maurice Patton, wrapping up Week 10 down here in Southern Middle Tennessee. Let's start with a thriller in Thompson Station as visiting Brentwood blocked a field goal with 40 seconds remaining to preserve a 16-14 victory over Independence. The Eagles celebrating their 2015 state championship team, a little 10-year reunion there. Bunch of those guys on hand for that ball game. Independence rallied back from a 16-7 halftime deficit, but again, had a field goal blocked inside the last minute, inside of 40 seconds, and Brentwood gets out with a 16-14 victory there. The Bruins improve to 6-3 overall, stay unbeaten in Region 6-6A at 5-0 with that win. Independence falls to 3-5, 2-3 in league play with the loss. Tough one there, despite 232 passing yards and a touchdown out of junior quarterback Matthew Horner there for the Eagles. Staying in Region 6-6A play, Summit travels to Franklin. The Spartans drop a tough 8-6 decision. Defensive-minded ball game there between the Admirals and the Spartans. Admirals kick a second field goal early in the fourth quarter and hang on to snap a 7-game losing streak there. Spartans scored on their first possession, did not score again, but led 6-5 at the half. Yeah, 6-5. You know, it was game one of the World Series on Friday night, so we got a baseball score on the football field. But Summit managing 82 total yards in that loss. Franklin improving to 2-7 overall, again snapping a 7-game losing streak, 1-5 to close Region 6-6A play. Summit falls to 2-7 overall. They are 1-4 in the region. In Region 4-3A action, Giles County picks up a 46-28 victory over visiting Forest down at the Brickyard. The Bobcats improve to 6-3, 3-1 in region play. Forest falls to 6-3, 2-2 in the region. The Rockets got a 207-yard performance out of sophomore running back Quincy Mitchell, scored 3 rushing touchdowns, added a catch for a score for the Rockets on the road. But Giles County scores 3 touchdowns in the final quarter, including one from Pearson Collier, who put Giles County up for good. Collier's been a scoring machine here of late. Finished with 165 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on Friday night. He has scored 10 touchdowns in Giles County's last 2 games. Again, Giles County 46, Forest 28, the final there in Region 4-3A in Pulaski. In Region 5-1A action, Richland keeps itself in position for a Region 5-1A championship. The Raiders go on the road, pick up a 37-22 win at Fayetteville. Tigers running back Zion Najee rushed for 262 yards and a pair of touchdowns on 20 carries for the hosts, but the Raiders scored 24 straight points, went up 30-14 in the third quarter and held on. Jake Sands, 170 total yards rushing and receiving on 21 touches, scored twice before halftime, and again, Richland with a 37-22 win over Fayetteville. The Raiders improving to 7-2 overall, 3-1 in region play. Fayetteville falls to 3-5 overall, 3-1 in the region. Big Region 4-5A matchup when Lincoln County goes to Lawrence County, and this one was a nail-biter. Logan Clayton, the quarterback for Lawrence County, finished with a school record 386 passing yards and a couple of touchdowns. Tayden Russell blocked an extra point, blocked a punt, and recovered a fumble in the end zone for the Wildcats in this one, but Lincoln County pulls it out late, scoring a late touchdown, hitting an extra point and winning this one 37-36. In fact, it was a 2-point conversion for the win there for Lincoln County. Again, 37-36, the Falcons on top. Lincoln County 7-2 overall, 2-1 in region play. Lawrence County falls to 6-3, 1-3 in the region with that tough loss. Summertown falls to Riverside 34-22. Riverside improves to 3-6, 3-2. With that decision, Summertown falls to 4-5, 2-3, despite 3 touchdowns out of Max Dillard in the loss for the Eagles. Loretta also goes on the road, falls at Bolivar Central in a non-region matchup, 14-0 the final there. Loretto slipping to 2-7 with that loss, despite holding Bolivar to just 212 yards. Bolivar Central 14, Loretto nothing the final there. In Division II AA Middle Region action, Columbia Academy falls again to Davidson Academy. It was Davidson 38-0 the final there. The Bears improving to 5-4 and 2-3 with that win. CA falling to 1-8, 0-5 with the loss. Alex Heffington rushes for 63 yards for the Bulldogs in that one. Another non-region matchup as Eagleville goes to Zion Christian. Eagleville wins that one 33-0 after leading 7-0 at the halftime. The visiting Eagles 6-3 with the win. The host Eagles fall to 3-5 with the loss. In a Region 5 4A matchup, Marshall County all over Spring Hill 61-13 in this one. Defending Class 4A Mr. Football Tyler Thompson throws for 288 yards and a pair of touchdowns for the host Tigers, who moved to 6-3 with that win, 3-0 in region play. Spring Hill falls to 3-5. That's their first region loss. The Raiders now 2-1 in the region. Got a couple of kickoff returns, a 91-yarder out of Lionel Brooks, an 85-yarder out of Reeves Gill, both for the distance to get Spring Hill on the board in that one, but a tough loss for the Raiders on the road, 61-13 over at Marshall County. Battle Creek picks up its second win in its last 3 games after a 1-5 start, defeating Glencliff 44-26. The Grizzlies now 3-6. Glencliff falling to 0-8 with that loss. Columbia Central goes on the road, gets a 262 rushing yard, 3 touchdown effort out of Daniel Booker as the Lions win 45-42 at Pope John Paul II. Columbia Central winning its 3rd straight game. They move to 5-3 with that win. Pope John Paul II falling to 3-6 with that 45-42 loss. Finally, over in Hohenwald in a matchup of the number 1 and the number 2 teams in Region 5 2A, it's Lewis County coming out on top, 27-16. The Panthers improving to 8-1 overall, staying unbeaten in region play at 5-0. Mount Pleasant falls to 7-2, 4-1 with the loss. The Tigers committing 3 turnovers and 9 penalties in that loss. Cale Scott throws for 205 yards and and 1 touchdown in the loss. But Lewis County got a 190-yard, 2-touchdown effort out of Drew Ray, along with a catch for a touchdown. Again, Lewis County 27, Mount Pleasant 16, the final in Region 5 2A action there. That's going to do it from Southern Middle Tennessee. I'm Maurice Patton. We'll see y'all later this week.
Thank you, Maurice. And now here's Calvin White in Northwest Middle Tennessee.
Hello everybody, this is Calvin White, Northwest Regional Sports Editor for Main Street Preps. Here to give you a quick recap of all the Week 10 high school football action in Montgomery, Robertson, and Houston County. We're going to start in Montgomery County. One of the biggest results of the Mid-State this past week, Clarksville knocked off undefeated Antioch 25-14. Jamarcus Watkins ran for 150 yards and all 4 Clarksville touchdowns in that one. The Wildcats clinch Region 5 6A with the win and clinch home field advantage in the postseason through the state semifinals. Nolensville beat Rossview 35-6. Rossview was held scoreless until C.J. Stuckey found the end zone in the final minute of the game. Rossview drops to 4-5 with that one. Dickson County narrowly escapes Northeast 17-13. Northeast led this game midway through the fourth quarter before one final Dickson County touchdown put the Cougars ahead for good. Kirkwood shut out Northwest 35-0. Kirkwood moves to 8-1 with that win. Henry County beats Kenwood 45-7. Henry County and Kirkwood will play for the Region 7 5A championship next week at Henry County. West Creek wins 14-2 over John Overton. Creekwood shuts out Montgomery Central 38-0, and Franklin Christian wins 22-21 over Clarksville Academy. Moving over to Robertson County, Springfield retains the Pitt Carroll Trophy for the 12th consecutive season with a 49-8 win over Greenbrier. Jermaine Cobbins caught 2 passes for 188 yards and a touchdown in that one. Quarterback Kason Woodson was a perfect 4 for 4 for 180 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. East Robertson wins 32-16 over Greenwood from Kentucky. East Robertson quarterback Kason Young is further making his case for the Class 2A Mr. Football Award as the year goes on. Sycamore upends White House Heritage 16-13 in non-region action. White House Heritage and Westmoreland will play next week for their region championship. Pearl Cone shuts out White House 47-0. That drops the Blue Devils to third place in that region. Whitwell wins 15-8 over Joe Burns. Joe Burns jumped out early on Whitwell, but there were no points in the second half. In this one, Whitwell wins 15-8. Clay County shuts out Innovation Academy 48-0. And finally, in Houston County, East Nashville shuts out Houston County 55-0. That'll do it for all of our Week 10 high school football wrap-up coverage. As always, I'm Calvin White. I'll talk to you again soon.
We're going to stop right here for a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
We are back, and we're ready to go over to Blaine, Kellar in North Central, Middle Tennessee.
This Friday marked the penultimate week in the high school football season for most Tennessee teams. That is, unless you're from Sumner County. I'm North Central Regional Sports Editor Blaine Kellar, here to tell you that all 9 Sumner County teams are headed to the TSSAA playoffs after Station Camp's win in region action against Hunters Lane this week. A 51-20 win. The Bison were the final team from Sumner County to clinch a spot in the playoffs, the postseason. It's the first time for all Sumner teams to make the playoffs since 2021. We're going to recap how the week went for those teams, as well as those from Davidson and Williamson counties. You can find this coverage on MainStreetPreps.com, as well as in the Gallatin News, Hendersonville Standard, Portland Sun, and Main Street Nashville print editions. Starting with Sumner County, Station Camp snapped a 5-game losing streak by defeating Hunters Lane 51-20. Good bounce back for the high-powered, speedy Station Camp offense. The Bison had struggled defensively and still allowed a few scores to the winless Warriors, but may have found a little bit of footing going into the regular season finale against Portland. Speaking of the Panthers, they fell 41-7 against Beach on Friday as the Buccaneers continue just an explosive stretch of the season offensively. In the last 3 games, they have racked up 162 points, the most for the school since it won a state championship in 2012. Other wins across Sumner County included Westmoreland's 21-20 final over Maplewood, continuing the Eagles' chase for first place in their region standings. A big tilt against White House Heritage coming up. And Liberty Creek, led by freshman quarterback Barrett O'Brien, wins 25-22 against Watertown at home. O'Brien, in his first varsity start, accounted for 250 total yards with 3 touchdowns for the Wolves. Big bounce back, similarly to Station Camp by Liberty Creek. Bill Alexander's team needed to rebound entering its regular season finale against Pearl Cone. Columbia Central fended off a ferocious JP2 rally on homecoming in Hendersonville on Friday. The Knights fell 45-42 despite a few late scores. On Thursday, Hendersonville's hot streak stalled against Shelbyville Central, being a 41-32 final on the road. Pearl Cone whipped White House 47-0, and Lebanon dampened the Union Throwback Night, the second straight year that Gallatin has put on the event, honoring the all-black high school during the segregation era. From Gallatin, the Blue Devils won 35-21, wrapping up the area scores in Sumner County. Now it's time to move on to what happened in Davidson and Williamson. Our top story from the week is from Jack Williams, writing about Maddox Porter and Max Curry of BGA, who both starred as the Wildcats won 56-14 at Good Pasture. 2 friends off the field who have been an elite receiver duo for BGA on the field. The Wildcats can wrap a 1-loss regular season this coming week. Brentwood Academy remained unbeaten on the year, defeating Father Ryan 49-7. The Eagles, led by Coach Paul Wade, can go undefeated for the regular season in next week's regular season finale against Lipscomb Academy. Also in our Main Street Prep / Main Street Nashville coverage area, Knoxville Catholic stormed back from an early deficit against CPA. The Irish won 28-26 on the road, continuing a trying season for the Lions, who could have broken through for another region win on Friday, but let it slip. Big challenge coming up to close the regular year against Macaulay. All of this will be reiterated in a few days, and then some for our preview show. We hope to catch you then. We hope to see you on MainStreetPreps.com, and we'll kick it back to you guys.
Thank you, Blaine. Here's David Wilson in East Middle Tennessee to wrap us up.
Everybody, this is David Wilson, East Middle Tennessee Regional Sports Editor for Main Street Preps. I'll give you a quick recap of all the Week 10 games across Wilson and Rutherford County this week as we entered the penultimate week of the regular season. We'll start things off in Wilson County, where for the second straight year in Region 4-6A, the Green Hill Hawks are your region champions, this time after a 42-13 win over Wilson Central on Friday night in Gladeville. UT Martin commitment and Green Hill quarterback Cannon Burrows with 4 total touchdowns in this one, as Green Hill rallied and had 6 straight touchdown drives to come back and to defeat the host. Wildcats, 1 rushing touchdown 4 cannon barrels and 3 through the air. A big night for Will Butler as well, the Hawks cornerback and wide receiver, who had 16 tackles in this one, 6 for loss. Also had a forced fumble, touchdown recovery, and also had a reception that went for a 28-yard touchdown as well. Green Hill, for the third time in its 6 seasons overall in existence, wins a region championship and will be a number 1 seed in the TWSLA playoffs. Staying in Region 4-6A, it was Lebanon sealing the number 2 seed in that region. They picked up a 35-21 win over Gallatin on Friday night, where it was another historic night. This time for Lebanon running back Gian Azita, who rushed for the 5th most rushing yards in school history against the Green Wave. Gian had 31 carries for 252 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one, as Lebanon moved to 8-1 on its season, and once again locked up the number 2 seed, and will have a home playoff game to open the Class 6A playoffs. Staying in Region 4-6A, it was a battle for the final playoff spot in that region that already had locked up Green Hill, Lebanon, and Gallatin, and it will be Cookeville taking the final playoff spot in that. They defeated Mount Juliet by a final score of 17-10 in overtime. Jackson Jones with a 9-yard run in overtime for the Cavaliers, and they make 2 big stops right outside their goal line. The last one on 4th down, where Mount Juliet quarterback J.J. Helm throws a pass just off the fingertips of Cooper Burgett. And for the first time since 2013, the Mount Juliet Golden Bears will not be a part of the TWSLA playoffs. Staying in county, this time in Division II Single A, Wilson County affair was Friendship Christian all over Mount Juliet Christian Academy on Friday night, 63-20. An early scoring barrage of 5 touchdowns in the first quarter for the Commanders helped them pull away from the Saints. Blake Waldorf, once again, really good in brief action for John McNeil, 7-9 passing for 102 yards and a touchdown. Also ran for 57 yards and a score. Jaden McGowan and Ryder Walcott each had 2 touchdowns in this one, as Friendship Christian will have a winner-take-all region championship on Friday on Halloween at Nashville Christian, your defending state champ. Then finally in Wilson County was Liberty Creek shocking Watertown by a final score of 25-22. Liberty Creek started a freshman quarterback making his first career appearance, Barrett O'Brien, and he had 258 total yards and 3 touchdowns in that one against the Purple Tigers. Transitioning really quickly to Rutherford County. Oakland remained undefeated on its season. Its defense has been great all year long, and it was again this past week. They blanked Stewart's Creek by a final score of 49-0. It was Blackman edging out Siegel 37-31. It was Riverdale doubling up Rockville 28-14. It was Smyrna shutting out Laverne 42-0. It was Providence Christian Academy picking up a 38-28 win over Concord Christian. And yet another shutout. It was Eagleville blanking Zion Christian 35-0. That'll do it this week on the wrap-up. Looking forward to talking to you guys in the preview as we enter the last week of the regular season and spooky season next week.
And that's it for this week's high school football wrap-up show. Now, don't forget that Main Street Media TV has football-based shows for high school, college, and pros lined up for you this season. You can find everything you need right there in your local newspaper's social media pages or by downloading the Main Street Media TV app. And remember that Main Street Media Radio gets your high school football started each week with the Thursday Night Game of the Week audio broadcast featuring Wade Neely and Casey Patrick. And they're going to be on the call across Middle Tennessee this season. You can catch them every Thursday night starting at 6:45 p.m. Also, set your calendar for your weekly high school football preview show featuring these same sports editors and reporters who are on the field each week sharing your favorite team's action from the sideline. The preview show is scheduled for Thursday at 1 p.m. during high school football season. All right, we'll see you right back here Tuesday with the high school football wrap-up show on Main Street Media TV.